Good evening, children. Welcome to online class, 10th standard, first language English. We'll go through the lesson 4, Louis Pasteur, Conqueror of Disease. E.H. Carter, written by E.H. Carter, that is the source, pioneers of the modern world. It's taken from there. Now, Louis Pasteur, Conqueror of Disease. The more I study nature, the more I stand amazed at the work of the Creator. Into his tiniest creatures, God has placed extraordinary properties. Louis Pasteur, pasteurization, immunology, and confirmed the germ theory of a disease. So, this lesson is very interesting because it tells about Louis Pasteur, his life, and his discovery also. Now, coming to the lesson. Now it is conqueror of disease we are telling. What do you mean by disease? Disease means it is a disorder of structure or function in a human, animal, or plant, especially one that produces symptoms or that affects a specific location. So disease synonym, we can tell it as illness, sickness, infection, ailment, malady, disorder, anything. Before going to the lesson, we should know about Louis Pasteur. That is, on the field of battle, in one of his campaigns, that is who? Jean-Joseph Pasteur was a former officer in Napoleon's imperial army. That is his father, Jean-Joseph Pasteur, his father. He was a former officer in Napoleon's imperial army who owned and operated a modest tannery. That is, his father was he was running a modest tannery. What is the tannery? He was preparing animal skins to be made into leather. That is, the Battle of Waterloo was fought on Sunday, June 1815, near Waterloo, Belgium. That is, Napoleon rose through the ranks of the French army during the French Revolution, and he seized the control of the French government in 1799 and became emperor in 1804. The Battle of Waterloo, in which Napoleon's forces were defeated by the British and the Russians, marked the end of his reign and France's domination in Europe. France dominated in Europe. His father was a tanner doing his profession of his family, tannery. In 1811, the conscription, that is, he was made to join army by law, took him in and sent to a regiment in Spain. Thereby, his bravery, that is Louis' father's bravery, good conduct, and capacity, he was rapidly raised to the rank of sergeant major and decorated a knight of the Legion of Honor. So not an easy position to reach in the French armies. But he dismissed from military service in 1815 and he returned to Salins and resumed his work as a tanner. and he was good looking and very intelligent man. He did all in his power to give his son an opportunity. That will say that is about Louis Pasteur's father. Now coming to the lesson, first para. On the field of battle in one of his campaigns, Napoleon decorated for bravery a certain tanner named Pasteur. This brave soldier had an equally brave son, Louis Pasteur, born 7 years after Waterloo. He was not a soldier, but he was a fighter. So that is this brave soldier, that is Louis Pasteur, that is Jean Joseph Pasteur's son, Louis Pasteur. He was also a brave soldier. He was born after 7 years of Waterloo. But he was not a soldier, but a fighter against a disease. Not fighting against a people, but a fighter against diseases. Then second, he fought a disease. He devoted his life to the study of what we sometimes call germs, which men of science call bacteria. A Greek word meaning little rods. Bacteria are vegetable organisms, little rod-shaped plants which exist in the air, water and soil, and in the bodies of animals and plants. Some but not all are the causes of diseases. Some convert matter into food for plants. So Louis Pasteur fought diseases and he spent his lifetime to study, that is germs, now which is called bacteria. In Greek it means little rods. So bacteria means little rods. So bacteria, they are all vegetable organisms, little rod-shaped plants that exist in air, water and soil, and you can find them in the bodies of animals and plants. But not all the causes of disease. Bacteria means not only causing disease, but somewhere doing good also, that is convert matter into food for plants. So that was the idea of bacteria in his time. Third para, Louis Pasteur had a very busy and interesting life. He not only made some exciting discoveries about the germs, but he was able to use his discoveries in a very practical ways. He worked hard in his laboratory with the test tubes and all kinds of experiments. But nearly all the time he was working to help people who were suffering in some special way from disease. Among the people whom Pasteur was able to help were growers, breeders of silkworms, and cow keepers, all of whom were trying to carry on important industries in France. Pasteur was always very proud of being able to help his country in this way. So how was his life? That to tell about Pasteur's life, he had a very busy and interesting life. And what did he do then to be like that? He used in his discoveries some very practical ways. That is by working hard in his laboratory with the test tubes. Then why he was working like that? That is the reason he was working to help people who were suffering from some disease. Then for whom he was helping, and they were brewers, that is brewers means people who make a beer. Then breeders of silkworms and cow keepers, and who were carrying an important industries in France. Then how he was helping to make his country proud. So by helping the people who try to carry on important industries in France. So like that, he always had his mind in working for the country also. Louis Pasteur, born in a little French country town, was interested in chemistry when he was very young. After studying hard in Paris and showing great promise, He began to teach and lecture as professor of chemistry. He became a professor at Strasbourg in Alsace, and he married a wife who was always to be his closest companion and assistant. And where was he born? Louis Pasteur. He was born in France, that is the Dole, French country town, and which he was interested when he was young. He was interested in chemistry. Then what did he do after studying in Paris? He began to teach, that is, he became lecturer, that is a professor of chemistry. He was teaching chemistry. He became professor of chemistry at Strasbourg in Alsace, and he married Mary Laurent, that is the daughter of the university's rector, that is in charge, who was his close companion. Then fifth parastelling, Pasteur was deeply interested in all the new experiments that were being made in chemistry and decided to solve some of the difficult problems that were worrying chemists and other scientists. Sometimes he used to sit for hours, quite silent and motionless, thinking hard about one of his difficulties. He found this the easiest way to solve a problem. And when he thought of a solution, his kind, tired looking face would brighten with the pleasure and excitement, and he would rush round to tell his discovery to his wife and to others who were helping him. Then, what did he do after that? He decided to solve some difficult problems that are worrying chemists and scientists. So he was sitting for hours to find the solution, that is in his laboratory. When he got a solution for the problem, he used to run to tell his discovery to his wife and others. Now, sixth parastelling, in 1854, Pasteur was appointed head of a college of science at Lille, a busy manufacturing town in the northeast of France. He was pleased about this because he always felt that trades and industries could be helped very much by the researches of men of science. His chance to be useful soon came. In 1854, he was named, that is, a dean of New College of Science in Lille in northeast France. And why was he pleased when he was appointed there? He always wanted to help the trade and the industry people by his research. That is for that scientific researchers and men of science are very important for the development of a country. So his chance then that is he came, that is to be useful soon came. Seventh paralleling, Pasteur as a young chemist had always been interested in the problems of why and how living things decay, why milk turns sour, why meat goes bad, why wine ferments. He started to give some lectures in Lille on fermentation, and one of the chief industries in Lille was the manufacture of alcohol from beetroot. And he was fortunate in being able to carry out experiments in some of the breweries. One manufacturer consulted Pasteur about his beer, and which was turning out badly. And Pasteur, by helping this brewer, managed to discover all sorts of things that he did not know before about yeast. Yeast is used to make beer foam and bread rise up lightly. Pasteur became certain that yeast was alive, made up of tiny living cells. When these cells were healthy, the yeast acted well. But if they were diseased, the yeast and the beer went wrong. So what did he want to discover? Sankara is telling, Pasteur as a young scientist, young chemist, that is, he wanted to know why the living things decay, why milk turns sour, why meat goes bad, why wine ferments. So for all this, he started giving lectures in Lille on fermentation. And Louis Pasteur demonstrated that the fermentation process is caused by the growth of a microorganism. And what was the chief industry in Lilly? The manufacture of alcohol from beetroot. What was the main industry? Then what did he discover there? He carried out the experiments in some of the breweries, and Pasteur could discover yeast, which was not knowing, which he was not knowing before. That is about the yeast. But he discovered that yeast is used to make beer foam and bread rise up lightly. And yeast is a living tiny cell. If that yeast cells are healthy, the yeast acted well. If they were diseased, the yeast, then the beer went wrong and turned out badly. So that is, yeast is nothing but a tiny living cells. Then after a few years, 8th para, Pasteur was made a director of scientific studies at a famous college in Paris. He was still thinking about decay and yeast and germs, and one of the problems that he was trying to answer was this: do germs form from other germs, or do they just come off themselves? People like Pasteur believed that the germs were carried in the air and might infect other things that came in contact with them. Others believed in what they called spontaneous generation. That is, they believed that germs had no parents but just occurred by themselves. So, after a few years in 1856, he was made a director of scientific studies in Paris. And he was believing that germs are carried in the air and infect other things if they come in contact with them. And others believed that germs had no parents but just occurred by themselves. So Pasteur gave a death blow to the theory of spontaneous generation by his germ theory. Ninth para, Pasteur proved that he was right by a very simple and clever experiment. He put some soup into some bottles and then he boiled it in order to destroy any germs that might already be in the soup. After that, he heated and pulled out the neck of each bottle until it formed a long, narrow neck with a big bend in the middle. The soup remained there for a long time and it never went bad as it would have done if it had been standing in a bowl in the kitchen. That, said Pasteur, is because there are no parent germs in the soup and they cannot reach it because of the bend in the long tube. So he took one of the bottles and split a little of the soup down the tube so that it settled in the bend. This soup went bad. We often speak of dust traps. Well, this bend in the tube was a dust trap because the dust, which as we know, which we now know may carry germs with it, could get as far as the bend, but no farther, and it settled there and infected the soup. So he proved one theory that is was right by simple and a clever experiment. That he did one simple experiment in that he put some soup. That is a yeah, that is the picture. Sorry. Yeah. He put some. Sorry. Yeah. He put some soup into some bottles and he boiled it in order to destroy the any germs that might be present in the soup already. After that, he heated and pulled out the neck of each bottle. So pulling out the neck of the each bottle here to form a long narrow neck like a swan neck. See here, yes, made it is like a swan neck, and here also. That is, the soup remained the same. Nothing went wrong. Air was allowed to enter the flask via long curving tube that made the dust particle to stick to it. So now air was allowed to enter. And what happened? That is, he tilted the flask, making the liquid touch the contaminated wall of the neck. The soup was infected with the germs then into it. That is, this showed that the living organism that grow in soup came from outside rather than spontaneously generating within the liquid or from the action of pure air. So this is the picture. And the next one, 10th para. This is the only one of many hundreds of experiments which Pasteur made to show how full the air is of dust particles. That is dust particles, and only one, that's a very useful experiment, was made to show the difference between pure and stale air. Then he made another experiment also. He took some into a little hotel bedroom where the air hardly ever changed and broke their necks off so that the air could enter freely. So that is, he took a soup in some bottle. Then that is went to a little hotel bedroom. There, air was not changing. And after a few minutes, sealed them up again. And he then took some bottles into a field nearby. And then did the same there also. Finally, he opened some on top of a high mountain and again sealed them. And what was the result? When they were examined, the bottles opened in the hotel bedroom were full of soup, which had gone completely moldy. And the bottles opened in the field were moldy, but not quite so bad. Those opened on the mountain had no germs in them at all. So he proved this. So Louis Pasteur conducted so many experiments to prove that the air is of dust particles and the germs carried by the dust. He showed the difference between pure and stale air by one experiment. What's the experiment? He filled some bottles with the soap. He took some into a hotel bedroom where the air was hardly changed. The next one, he broke the necks so that the air could enter and then sealed them. He then took some bottles into a nearby field and did the same with them. He finally went to the top of the mountain and did the same. When he examined the bottles kept in the hotel bedroom had gone completely moldy. And the bottles kept in the field were moldy, but not quite so bad. But those kept on the mountain had no germs in them at all. This proved that pure air is different from stale air. Now coming to the 11th. Nowadays we pay a great deal of attention to pure air, open windows, to freedom from dust, to garden cities. Pasteur was one of the first to show how necessary all these are if we are to fight against germs and diseases. So nowadays what we do? We give more importance for what? To pure air, open windows, and freedom from dust, and to garden cities. So the next one is 12th. Another very useful discovery of Pasteur while he was working in Paris was the process which he now called after him, pasteurization. That is, some French wine growers some French wine growers were troubled by the germ, that is a germ which had turned their wine sour. So Pasteur showed that by heating the wine or milk, that is whatever it might be to a temperature of 50 or 60 degrees centigrade, and the germs were made harmless. And pasteurized milk is milk which has been treated, in this way, and then sealed to prevent more germs from entering. So what is there? Another way that is very useful discovery was pasteurization. Where he was in Paris, when he was in Paris, that is, wine growers were troubled by a germ which had turned the wine sour. So he showed that by heating wine or milk to a temperature of 50 to 60 degree, the germs become harmless. So pasteurized milk is milk which has been treated in this way, and that sealed to prevent the germs from entering. The Louis Pasteur was what we should call an all-round scientist. All the research which he did in his laboratories was meant to help his fellow human beings, and it would be impossible to imagine Pasteur experimenting with the explosives or poison gas. That is, he was an all-round scientist, and he helped the fellow human beings by his research, and he did not use any explosive or poison gas. 14th para, Louis Pasteur founded the branch of science called bacteriology, or the study of bacteria, and he showed what a wide range of it had by studying the bacteria in all sorts of different activities. For 3 years, he spent all his time and energy in tracking down the cause of disease, which had ruined the silkworm industry. He began to believe that most, if not all, infectious diseases were due to certain bacteria, which, if they got into the blood, multiplied there and caused disease. So Pasteur founded the branch of science called bacteriology. For 3 years, he spent all his, that is, time and energy for what? To discover the cause of disease that is ruining silkworm industry. And he believed that infectious diseases were due to certain bacteria which get into the blood, multiply there, and cause diseases. Then 15th para, many other men were working and experimenting against those bacteria which were the enemies of men and which are invisible but present everywhere and always ready to attack. Dr. Jenner in England had already discovered a vaccination for smallpox, but inoculation against other diseases had not yet started. So 15 para is telling many other men also were working in these bacteria, which are the enemies of men, but invisible. Bacteria are invisible, and everywhere it is present and ready to attack. So Dr. Jenner in England, that is, he had already discovered a vaccination for smallpox, but inoculation was not discovered. Then 16 para telling Pasteur was trying to discover a cure for the terrible disease called anthrax, which men sometimes get from the infected shaving brushes, and which was attacking cows and sheep in France and killing them off very quickly. He found at first of all that a cow could not have anthrax twice. Then he began to wonder whether it would not be possible to make a cow possible to make it, that is a to make, that is cow, the not possible to make a cow and even a man just just a little ill with anthrax, so that they might not get it again. Perhaps this could be done by giving the cows or sheep very weak old germs to make them safe or immune for the future. That is 16. One can imagine how dangerous this idea of giving people germs must have seemed in those days. So many scientists were angry about it, but they agreed to allow Pasteur to prove it by a public experiment. So what Pasteur tried? He tried to discover a cure for anthrax disease, which men get it from what infected shaving brushes and also attacking cows and sheep in France. And what did it? Killing them very quickly. And he found out that anthrax would not attack twice. So he thought of giving the cows or sheep very weak old germs to make them immune for the future. And it was, that is a dangerous idea. But many scientists were against it, but allowed Pasteur to prove it by a public experiment. The 17th para telling, so Pasteur collected some sheep, goats, and cows and divided them into two lots. To one lot, he gave injections of his weak anthrax germs. The other lot was left alone. Then on a certain day, all the animals were injected with the most deadly anthrax germs that could be produced. On the third day after the experiment, a crowd of people gathered around the sheds to see what had happened to the animals. Pasteur, even though he was not so sure of himself, that is, must have felt nervous. All the 2 dozen animals that had first been protected by the weak germs were perfectly well. Were perfectly well, and that is, and all the that yeah, perfectly well, and the deadly injection had done them no harm at all. Of the other 2 dozen animals, that is 22 were dead and the other 2 were dying. When the news spread that Pasteur had discovered a cure for anthrax, hundreds of people wrote to him for supplies of vaccine or weak germs, and he had to turn his laboratory into a kind of a small germ factory. So what is the telling? 17. So Louis Pasteur collected some sheep, goats, and cows and divided them into 2 lots. To one lot, he gave injection of his weak anthrax germs, and the other was left alone. On a certain day, all the animals were injected with the most deadly anthrax germ. On the third day, people had gathered around the sheds to see what was happening to the animals. So Pasteur also felt nervous, but the animals that were first injected with the weak germs were perfectly well, and the other animals which are not injected with the weak germs all died. So the news spread that Pasteur had discovered a cure for anthrax, and there was a great demand for supply of weak germs. So his laboratory had become a small germ factory. Then 18th para, Pasteur received many honors from the French government, and in 1881 he became a big medical, that is, he came into a big medical congress in London. When he walked down the hall, there was a storm of applause. He looked round, thinking, the cheers must be for some royal person. For Pasteur could hardly believe that the applause was meant for him. So Pasteur received many honors from French government. In 1881, he came to a big medical conference in London. When he walked down the hall, there was a storm of applause. He thought it must be for some royal person, but it was only for Pasteur because he was not able to believe that the applause was meant for him only. And one of his last experiments was in connection with a terrible disease which attacks a person who is bitten by a dog with the rabies, a mad dog, as we call it. Pasteur had grown very sure about the power of inoculation and he decided to try out the same idea in case of rabies. At that time, nearly everyone died. That is, everyone died who was bitten by a diseased dog. In 1885, Pasteur in 1885, then that is Pasteur made his first experiment on a young Alsatian, that is boy, who came to him in Paris covered with the bites from a mad dog. And the boy's mother told Pasteur, if you can cure animals, then you can cure animals, then you can cure my son. So Pasteur inoculated him with some weak rabies germs and the boy recovered. So what about the next discovery was for mad dog disease. He tried the same method in the case of rabies also. At those days, everyone died. That is, those who are bitten by mad dog. But in 1885, Pasteur made his first experiment on a boy who was bitten by a mad dog. The boy's mother told Pasteur that if Pasteur could cure animals, he could cure her son also. So Pasteur inoculated him with the same weak rabies, with some weak rabies germs, and the boy recovered. Then 20, although Dr. Jenner had already discovered how to vaccinate against smallpox, he did not really understood about the bacteria. Pasteur, after giving his life to his study, he was able to prove the value of inoculation and to find out ways of varying it for different diseases. So Dr. Jenner, that is an English doctor, had found vaccination for smallpox, but he did not really understand about the bacteria. So Pasteur had a better understanding of bacteria, having dedicated his life in their study and was able to prove the value of inoculation and to find out ways of varying it for different diseases. So then 21st para, during the First World War in 1914 and 18, the troops going abroad were inoculated against such diseases as typhoid and enteric fever. And the very low death rate from these illnesses among the troops, even in unhealthy places, was a great tribute to Pasteur's work. So during the First World War, that is 1914 and 18, the troops going abroad were inoculated against such diseases, that is typhoid and enteric fever. But the very low death rate from these illnesses and even unhealthy places was a great tribute to whom? Pasteur's work. Then 22nd, Pasteur's memory is still honored in Institute Pasteur in Paris, where bacteriology is studied by men and all nations. At the opening of the institute in 1888, Pasteur said, two opposing laws seem to me now in contest. The one, a law of blood and death, opening out each day new methods of destruction, forces the nations to be always ready for the battle, and the other, a law of peace, work, and health, whose only aim is to deliver man from the disasters which surrounded him. The one seeks violent conquest, the other the relief of mankind. Which of these two laws will prevail, God only knows. But of this we may be sure that science, in obeying the law of humanity, will always labor to enlarge the frontiers of life. Then Pasteur's memory is still honored in the Institut Pasteur in Paris. At the beginning of the institute, Pasteur talked about the two opposing laws. One law was a law of blood and death, which opens each day new methods of destruction and forcing nations to be always ready for the battle. The second law was a law of peace, work, and health, where only aim is to deliver man from the disasters which surround him. The first one seeks violent conquest, the other the relief of mankind. Which of these two laws will prevail, God only knows, but science obeys only the laws of humanity and will extend to seek the welfare of the humanity. Then 23rd para, that is about Pasteur in his old age. Someone who knew Pasteur well in his old age described him thus: how very, with the deep lines on his face, the skin and beard both white, and his hair still thick and nearly always covered with a black cap, the broad forehead wrinkled, marked with the lines of genius, the mouth slightly drawn by paralysis, but full of kindness, and above all, the living thought which still flashes from the eyes beneath the deep shadow of eyebrows. Then Pasteur in his old age looked weary, with the deep lines on his face, the skin and the white beard covered with a black cap, and his forehead marked with the lines of genius in his eyes were flashing still the living thought. And 24th para, on Pasteur's 70th birthday, his jubilee was celebrated almost like a national festival. Like Lord Lister, who was honored in his old age by the scientists of all nations at the crowded meeting in the great hall of the University of Paris, the old man was too overcome to speak, and his speech was read to the distinguished audience by his son. On Pasteur's 70th birthday, his jubilee was celebrated almost like a national festival, and he was honored in his old age by scientists of all nations like Lord Lister. And at the crowded meeting in the great hall of the University of Paris, Pasteur was not able to speak, and his speech was read by his son, that is to the distinguished audience. And 25th para, the future, he said, belong to those who shall have done the most for suffering humanity. And to the young students, he addressed, and the young students he addressed young students he addressed a special word. First, ask yourselves, what have I done for my education? Then, as you advance in life, what have I done for my country? So that someday the supreme happiness may come to you. The consciousness of having contributed in some measure to the progress and welfare of humanity. So he said that future would belong to those who do their most for suffering humanity. He gave a special word to the young students in his address. So you ask yourself, what have I done for my education? First, they should ask themselves as they advance, what have I done for my country? So that supreme happiness may come with a feeling that they have contributed in some measure to the progress and welfare of humanity. And the last para 26, that is, he Pasteur himself certainly knew that the happiness, and he died in 1895 when he was 75, and no name in science is more honored or will longer be remembered. So this is the last line. He died in 1895. That is that time he was 75 years old. But his name, that it will be standing more honored or will longer be remembered also. Okay, children, thank you. This is the life of Pasteur and his contribution to the humanity. Thank you.